This podcast is solely for the attention of institutional, professional, qualified, or sophisticated investors and distributors.
Hi everyone, this week we'll take stock of the US climate policy, including highlighting issues related to the Biden administration's major infrastructure plans, which will be hotly debated in the days and weeks to come. First, let's recall the climate objectives of the Biden administration. They are very ambitious: carbon neutrality by 2050 and the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 50% in 2030 compared to the 2005 levels. True, Joe Biden has signed executive orders as part of its climate policy. One of them orders, for example, that at least half of the vehicles sold in the US in 2030 will be electric vehicles. But this is not enough, even if transportation accounts for 29% of greenhouse gas emissions in the US, and it will be necessary to go much further than executive orders and to initiate bold public investment to meet the ambitious climate objectives. In March and April, Joe Biden presented two major infrastructure packages, the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, but that did not generate political consensus at all, and after several months, no plan was adopted. So Biden's two plans have been largely recast into two new packages: an infrastructure package of $550 billion in new spending over 5 years, which was adopted by a large majority in the Senate and which must be voted on by the House of Representatives before September 27. And the so-called Budget Reconciliation Package, which is a 10-year investment program of $3.5 trillion, which will be only supported by Democratic Congresspeople. $3.5 trillion over 10 years is only the basis of discussion within the Democratic Party, and that will probably not be the number that will remain at the end. Very recently, a White House analysis explained that the two packages alone would reduce greenhouse gases emissions by 45% in 2030 compared to 2005 levels, and while the objective of Biden is to cut them by 50%. So, roughly speaking, the Biden's climate policy relies almost entirely on the two infrastructure packages. And these two packages are about as important as each other in reducing emissions. Among the flagship measures, we can cite the tax credit schemes for the use of carbon-free energy in transportation and housing. We can also cite the Clean Electricity Performance Program, which would require electricity suppliers to provide at least 4% more of clean electricity each year than in the previous year. And the suppliers who fulfill the contract would receive grants, and the suppliers who do not would get fines. This program would be part of the Joe Biden's goal of achieving 100% of carbon-free electricity by 2035. This would be a huge boost to wind and solar power. And moreover, the US Department of Energy has published a report, Solar Future Study, which underlines the fall in the cost of solar technologies and which estimates that if it is conceivable to achieve 40% of solar in the total electricity generation by 2035 in the US, while as a reminder, this share in 2020 was just over 2%. So to sum up, it's particularly clear the Biden administration's ambitions for the climate are huge, but the success of its climate policy will depend very largely on the passage of the infrastructure packages. Thank you, and talk to you next week.
All comments and analysis reflect CPR AM views on market conditions and its evolution, according to information known at the time. As a result of the simplified nature of the information contained in this document, that information is necessarily partial and incomplete.